Hello and welcome to another Writerly Witterings with me, Michael Jex, the tea-drinking author who's currently got a coffee because that's the way I am. Now, it's been a fair time since I did any reviews and I've received a lot of things fairly recently. One is this delightful box from Conway-Stewart, which is going to have to wait till next week, I'm afraid, because first of all, I was sent this quite some time ago, and this deserves a quick chat as well. So, what is this? Well, it is another little doohickey from Coppertist.wu. Now, you may remember them. They sent me this very elegant and really rather beautiful resting snake. What is the point of this resting snake? Well, the point of it is that it's a desk pen rest. And I am really taken by it. I think it's just gorgeous. I think the detail that went into making it is fabulous. I love the colour and I love the weight. It's a gorgeous thing. And Coppertist.wu have, in their infinite kindness, decided to send me something else. So I'll be looking at that in a minute. But first, I wanted to just talk about this. Now, you know that I like my notepads. I have a lot of notepads. Just as an example, on my desk right now, there is this one from Conway-Stewart. There is this one, which is just my little pocket one. There is this notebook. Yes, it's a notebook. It's got lots of empty pages. It's making use of an old book cover, and I think it's rather brilliant. I have a lot of notebooks, always. I also tend to have sketchbooks because they're good. And quite often I've thought, when going out and about with an endless or something similar, I thought, wouldn't it be nice if it could do several things? The endless is great. It holds 2 or 3 notebooks, and endless paper is very good for writing on. It's jolly useful. However, when I'm out and about, I might want to do a sketch. So in the past, what I've done is I've carried a sketchbook, which has been fairly extensively used, it has to be said. There you go, lots of sketches, lots of pictures, little things, all that sort of stuff. And I've carried a notebook as well, so I can write in something. And it occurred to me, not that long ago, that it might be useful if I just had something which could contain 2. And just as I was thinking that, Cult Pens had a special deal on where if you spent, I think it was £10 on a mystery box, then you would get one of their new Cahier A5 notebooks sent through. So let's have a look at it. Okay, folks, so here we are back at the rather messy desk. Now, what have I got here? Coppertist.wu tend to send out their goodies in nice packaging, quite tight fitting cardboard with a paper cover that looks rather nice. And the cover here says sparked by wildlife. Don't know if that means they're inspired by wildlife or what. Inside the box there is this. And I was intrigued as soon as I opened the box because I had been warned that they were going to send me a bookmark. Now, this is a rather delightful alligator or crocodile. To be honest, I can't tell the difference between them. And what is it? It is a bookmark, yes. And it works quite well. You have a paperback, you stick the thing in the top, and provided you keep the book upright, that's fine. So, what do I like about this? It's rather like the snake. It is beautifully made. It has every scale standing out. The eyes are consistent. Everything about it is really elegant and rather gorgeous. On the bottom, it just has Coppertist.wu. It has this little flange, which is what you stick between the pages. And I'm on page 35 here. It stays there. It is moderately secure. And when I pull it up, I'm still on page 35. So it functions. Mostly. However, it does have a bit of a problem when it comes to other types of book. So, for example, if I reach for my medieval warfare section, here we have a paperback. It's a soft cover book on castles. And yes, if I want to bookmark a page in the middle, it will work. But, and this is a big but, when you've got covers on a book, paperback or hardback, it is not going to function when you are at the beginning of the book. You can see there it's sitting on top and it's holding the book open. Now, that's not ideal. And as soon as you put it in a shelf or something, it sticks up and the flange is not really big enough to allow it to hold the book properly. It gets even worse, of course, if you've got a hardback book, because the overlap of the covers is that much bigger. So if I just put this on page, well, it's the general editor's preface, and trying to get it in there is a problem. But you can see there how it gets in the way. So I have contacted Coppertist.wu, the company that makes this, and my suggestion is that they have either a much longer flange that sticks down further into the book, and it has to be a good 3 to 4 inches, I think. Or alternatively, what they could do would be to, I don't know, what else could they do? They could just have a drilled hole in the bottom so that you could dangle a thread through. They could have the longer flange, as I say. They could have a flange that is hinged so it lies back alongside the alligator, crocodile, whatever. I don't know. This certainly is perfectly adequate for a paperback. Taking one of my own, just as a demonstrator. It doesn't matter whether you stick it in the middle of the book or the outside edges. It will work perfectly well. But I have a gut feel that the sort of person who wants to buy something like this for their book is going to want something that's going to be a little bit more usable with hardbacks as well. Because I think most people who want to invest that sort of money, and my apologies, I don't know how much it is. I'll put a link in the bottom of the page if for those who are interested. But my gut feel is that anybody who wants something of that sort of careful design and presentation is going to want something that will work for hardbacks much more than paperbacks. That's my view. You may have a different view. If you do, put it in the comments down below. I look forward to hearing from you. And now, putting this to one side, lovely though it is, let me tell you about this new Cahier from Cult Pens. Now, first of all, I have to say that I had a piece of spare leather lying around, and so I thought it would be fun to make my own Cahier cover. This is the result. I have a drawstring that goes through the middle of the spine. When you open it up, inside there is a Leuchtturm, which I have to say, I love these Leuchtturms. I think they are really good. I like the paper. I like these strange, I'm not sure how you would call it, this sort of format, but somehow it just works for me. I like it. It's pleasant. Some inks do go through. You can see here I've got quite a lot of ghosting. And I'm not too sure, to be honest, what colour ink that was. It looks like a very dark, that could be a black. Don't know what the ink is. However, most inks, as you can see here, this I think is probably Ackermann's Delftsblau. Here you go. Königsblau here. And I've got here Prussian or blue black. Doesn't really matter. None of them seem to give any problems at all, even here with some very dark inks. So, yeah, I like the Leuchtturm. However, if I'm sketching, it's hopeless. It's got all these lines and everything. I can't use it. So I was very pleased to see that Cult Pens had produced their own little notebook. As you can see, this is a bit of a work in progress. I haven't actually tied off the things particularly carefully, but as a cover, very simple, dead easy to make. It's just some elasticated thread which I put round in a loop so it will hold two books with great ease. And that's just the binder, the thing that binds it together. So, here we have it. How does it look? First of all, it is quite nicely done, quite elegantly done. As you can see, it says Cult Pens at the bottom, just in case you missed the hint that you bought it through them. It's got a nice darkish blue cover. I think there are a variety of other colours if you so wish. Stapled. Not the best fixing. I prefer something along the lines of the Leuchtturm where it's just stitched, but yeah, that's just a personal thing. I tend to find that staples will rust. It will make a bit of a mess over time, but what the hell. Now, what got me was the paper. This is really fat feeling paper. I think it might be 120 GSM. Again, I'll put the statistics down at the bottom so you can see exactly what it is like. It has a slight feel to it. It's, if I just take, here we have a simple micro roller ball. And it is, what is this? This is a Uniball I Micro. There's just a little bit of toothiness to the paper, which is absolutely no problem at all. It feels really very good. Now this is the Pineda Avatar Traveller. And it goes down really well. This thing puts down a lot of ink, so a great test of paper. Taste? So with this, even though it's put down a lot of ink, there is absolutely nothing come through the other side. And that is quite a nice dark ink. That's Earl Grey from Diamine, which I think is lovely. I really like Earl Grey from Diamine. It's one of my favourite inks of the moment. So there you go. That works well. But what got me was, well, obviously, this is a delightful notebook for sketching. I tend to use these things, which are cheap sketchbooks from a company called Art Co. It's got a craft cover. It's a Frisk sketchbook and it's £1.40. And I use them all the time, just for fiddling around, sketching, ideas, people, scenes, whatever it might be. I use them all the time. I've got loads of them. But this, I thought with this paper, that's actually very interesting because it's almost watercolour paper, I thought. So I took it out and did some sketches. And I don't know if you can see here, but that has really taken the watercolour very well. Chepstow Castle, I can thoroughly recommend it. If you haven't been there, it's a lovely place to go and visit. But look at these. They are really very surprisingly good. This is a notebook. It is designed for writing on. But I would say that for me, this is going to be a really useful notebook for when I go travelling anywhere. If I ever get a chance to go abroad with a push bike, which I will be doing later this year, or just some other reason for travelling, this will be a perfectly acceptable and useful combination of travel book and sketchbook. I could even use this as a little, what do you call it, album, as a travel log, which I can then use while I'm away, just for a watercolour a day, keeps the boredom away. And I think Cult pens need to be congratulated on a really superb piece of design there. And there you have it. One delightful notebook, one really delightful, very cleverly designed, beautifully made bookmark that does have a slight failing, but for all that, it's a beautiful piece of work. And again, I can thoroughly recommend this as a pen rest. It is gorgeous, slightly alarming, but gorgeous. And there we have it. Right, now, I have got quite a lot of things to talk about in the coming weeks. I have a Conway Stewart, not Jubilee, this is the Coronation version. I haven't opened it yet, as you can tell. I'll do an unboxing and opening for the next video, but I'm really looking forward to having a go with that, especially since they've sent me one of their new fine nibs, and I'm looking forward to testing that as well. I have that. I have a series of Cult pens inks, which they've made with Diamine. I've got a whole bunch of other inks that I showed 2-3 months ago, which I haven't had a chance to test yet, but I will. They came in that goodie bag with the Cult pens notebook. And apart from that, I'm being kept busy. I'm now starting to record The Last Templar for audiobook, which is going to take a good week's worth of solid effort. So I think about 2 weeks of work. But the original audiobook was really quite dreadful. And I don't think it sold particularly well. It was done by a guy whose fame as an actor was limited, and his ability to pronounce Celtic names was even more limited. So that fell out of contract, and although I would be quite happy to put it through a major studio, I'm actually quite keen on the idea that an author should read his own books. So I'm going to do this, put it on the internet and see how it goes. If you're interested in how it does go, I'll be putting updates all about it on my Patreon's pages. And if you'd like to become a patron, you can go to the link down below and select the tier that suits you, and that way you get to support me and my extensive reviewing skills, which somebody wrote to me recently and said, "You don't know what the pen's made of. This is probably the worst review of a pen I've ever seen." To which I replied, "Oh, sorry, didn't like it. Fortunately, of course, there are plenty of other places he can go for his pen reviews. And apart from that, if you're interested, I am also running a podcast here for the details of my diabetic journey, which is not particularly exciting as a concept, perhaps, but owing to the fact I had diabetes apparently for well over 10 years, and it has badly affected my eyes and done a certain amount of damage to my nerves on my feet, and I had no symptoms whatsoever for 10 years, I think it's worthwhile putting these things out there so that other people who may have diabetes and aren't aware may be able to spot some of the things that I've experienced, and it may well help them. One guy who has been in touch as a result of the videos has just had to lose a leg due to diabetes. He got a sore, didn't treat it fast enough, and now he's lost his leg. It is a horrible disease, and it's reaching epidemic proportions throughout the West. So just in case, I would recommend that you have a quick look at a couple of my diabetes videos. They will be continuing. I'm going to be producing one of them per week from now on, as well as the YouTube reviews. But that's all for me for now. Thanks ever so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that, and do please let me know if you've got any comments, other than I'm useless and I don't know what I'm talking about, of course, because that just goes without saying. But if you want to support the channel, please go to the Patreon site. You can buy me a coffee, you can do all those other good things. Please hit the like button, because it does make a big difference. And if you haven't done it already, then you can go to hit the little button so that you follow all my videos when they come out. And then you can even hit the bell, which means that you'll be told when a video's coming out. What excitement! How can you cope with it? And now a little bit of dogs behaving stupidly, because I do like my dogs. Thanks a lot. Speak to you soon. Bye. Ha ha ha.